Welcome back from that. However, we have a lot to discuss, and today, in the spirit of the inauguration, we are having a fundamental discussion about the roles that youths should play in the leadership position of this country, especially in their later contributions. And we have in the studio a young man himself, a youth by every definition and standard, and an accomplished one for that matter. We are having in the studio Honorable Musa Saidu. You're welcome on the program, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Honorable Musa Saidu is a former councillor from the Wuse ward here in Abuja and the former deputy speaker of AMAC. Now, you are a clear example of what young people could do. You've held leadership position. How would you say the youths can contribute to the growth and development of Nigeria, taking into perspective today's inauguration and the next 4 years?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians. The youth will play a pivotal role in the development of Nigeria because the youth constitutes 70% of Nigerian population, and the youth annually we have 2.6% growth annually, the fastest growth globally. And I believe the youth as well, we have great potentials that we can strive in every climate or every environment we find ourselves. If this government, this new administration, create the enabling environment for the youth to strive, of course, the youth will not only be partners with this administration, but we will take the driver's seat.
Okay. Normally, when youths are mentioned, people tend to associate youthful age with vices, with unrest, with agitations, and restlessness. Nigeria, what does the youth need to have? Does he need to convert that restlessness or be more vocal about their agitations to get this country on the path of growth?
I think the impression that the youth are very agitated, the President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was the head of state, he was a youth. Yakubu Gawan, when he was the head of state, he was a youth. IBB, when he was the head of state, he was a youth. Virtually, let me say, 60% of the people that serve this country, they are youth. So we are not the youth are not agitating, but we want to be the youth are the bridge builder. We are the nation builder. And if you give the youth a platform to add its own contribution in community development or society, you will see that society will grow tremendously.
Okay. Now, we are having a new government today. When we talk about the Buhari's government, we saw all the many agitations that were led by youths, especially in protest, and of course, even the government had a lot of young people in governance that saw youthful participation. What are you expecting from the incoming government?
Well, what we are expecting for the incoming government is to create the enabling environment for the youth to strive to do their business. Nigerian youth are of great potentials. It is only they can unleash their potential if they have the enabling environment. The enabling environment, the government also giving them access to display their potentials. I think Nigeria will go a long way, and Nigeria will be in the place in the community of nations that we ought to be.
When you mention enabling environment and the things that the youth need, what exactly do you mean? Like, what should constitute that enabling environment? What needs to be present that's not there now?
I think social amenities are some of the things that some of the youths need, because if you see our graduates year in, year out, the number is growing, and the white collar jobs are no longer in vogue. The youth, they don't need you to give them white collar job. Once there is this enabling environment, for instance, electricity.
Okay.
When there is electricity, the youth don't need to seek for white collar job. The Nigerian youth are very innovative and very industrious. and when there is electricity, it will cut, let me say, 30 to 40% of unemployment in the country. So if we have electricity, it will go a long way. This is one out of many of this enabling environment we are talking about.
Okay. What about policy statements? What policy statements do you think this new government needs to make or have that would drive the creative potentials of the youths, as you said, to make them not just people waiting on white collar jobs, but turning them into industrialists that the country so dearly needs?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank God you talk about the policy, this thing, because it's part of the enabling environment I was talking about. Because I say one out of many that I just mentioned. The policies, one, the government need to make policies that will help the youth to strive in terms of business. If you look at our business environment today, once you are coming into business, maybe you go and seek for loan to start a business. The policies, the tax policy and the government policy will not even allow a medium entrepreneur to even strive, because of the multiple taxation. So those are the areas that the government need to look into, and also to help not only the youth but small industries in Nigeria, so that, because those small industry are also indirectly creating job for our youths.
Okay. Recently, Africa's richest man, and that is, we're talking about Aliko Dangote, commissioned, the refinery in Lagos was commissioned. And in his statement, he attributed to the fact that a lot of youths will be employed directly and indirectly in that refinery, giving them access to knowledge and as well as tapping into their innovativeness and creativity to drive this. So, the Nigerian energy solution, especially as it concerns gas, it is being hinted that that refinery will address a chunk of that deficit that as we have now. And the youths are said to be the drivers of that refinery. How do you think this will play out?
Well, Dangote is an investor and is an individual out of so many investors in Nigeria. And I commend his effort for siting the refinery in Nigeria. And he has a local content. And we are proud of Dangote, and so many of the youths takes Dangote as their role model. It is not only on the refinery, we have so many sectors that need attention. You see, this waste you are seeing, the waste is not waste. Waste is also wealth. There are three mineral resources that we can generate from this waste that you see they throw away in the market and other places. This waste, we can get biogas from the waste, we can get energy from the waste, and we can get fertilizer from the waste. If our government creates access to loan for people to access, to also build more plants like what Dangote did now, I think it will create a lot of employment, and it will take the burden away from the government, and the society will have free of this civil unrest.
Okay. Now, when you talk about the enabling environment and the potentials that lie in waste regeneration and conversion to very
Wealth.
crucial components we need, which in turn generates wealth and everything. You talked about granting access to loans. How would you be able to access these loans? Like, we've had in the past when government have past governments have attempted such policies, and it has failed. People take the money and they go and they don't do the things they're supposed to do with the money, and that just passes on. What does this government need to do different in that direction?
Just like, thank you for this question. I think this question has to do with, for instance, there are innovational skills. You can lock 20 to 40 youths in a room. Ask them to give you an idea how they can invent something that will be creative, that can give this country, that will be of economic benefit to this country. We have brilliant Nigerian youth that, for instance, the way they are doing this Big Brother Nigeria, you can lock 20 youths in a room, and those 20 youth will come out with brilliant idea that will raise the economy of this country, and it will create a lot of jobs for Nigerians.
Okay. Well, finally, it's inauguration day today. Let's hear your final wishes for Nigeria and the incoming government. Your
My my
final words for
my
them.
final wish for the incoming government, I wish them a successful tenure, and I pray that the burden, because absolute power comes with absolute responsibility, and I believe that the responsibility shouldered on this government, they should not let Nigerians down. And I also want to appeal to Nigerians that whatever circumstances we find ourselves, we should always pray for our leaders. Because whatever prayer we pray for our leaders, directly or indirectly, the, the aftermath of it will befall on our society.
Okay. And there you have it. We've been having this conversation with Honorable Haruna Musa Saidu, former Deputy Speaker of AMAC and former Councillor representing Wuse Ward here in the Federal Capital Territory. And our conversation has been the potentials of youths in the growth and development of our dear country, Nigeria, and what needs to be in place for that to happen. It's inauguration day. It's a beautiful day, and the program is Good Morning Abuja. We'll go on a short break. When we return, the program continues.